What is up, YouTube? It's me, Rahul. Today we're going to be talking about my Chilling Reign buy list. A lot of people usually ask me, what am I buying? How am I buying it? What is like my typical thought process behind buying certain cards? So I kind of made a very well-designed PowerPoint that I started at 3 a.m. last night for no absolute reason. And I made this so you guys can see what I'm going to buy, what I think is going to be good. And on a side note, the set does drop on June 18th officially on street date, but pre-releases have begun because June 4th, I believe, or June 5th maybe. Stores have been allowed to start selling pre-release kits, so check out your local store, see if they have pre-release kits for you. I went to my store, picked my pre-release kits up. 10 pre-release kits were given to me. They were allocated for me. I asked for those. I'm not going to keep all 10 for myself. Don't worry, I'm not greedy. So on June 13th, I will be streaming on Twitch around lunchtime, Eastern Standard. I don't know. I'm saying lunchtime because we haven't set a time yet. But lunchtime, Eastern Standard Time, we will be playing a pre-release with me and 7 of my homies. We're going to be streaming it on Twitch, trying to get all 4 cameras set up so we have 4 games going at once. Come enjoy the polls, come enjoy the games, and get an early look at Chilling Reign. We might get some IRL games in afterwards as well, old decks, you know. It's just going to be nice. I haven't seen these guys in a very long time, so we're gonna see and make the most of it. So without further ado, let's jump into Rahul's Chilling Reign buy list. Chilling Reign, guys, the newest set of the Pokemon TCG coming out on June 18th, and everyone's going to be thinking, well, IRL play is almost on the verge of returning. We are looking at locals coming back, all these things coming back. This is the best time to start buying cards again before things start spiking for absolutely no reason. The hype is dying down a little bit from the scalpers, the external non-Pokemon community hype. I don't doubt that'll come back for the 25th anniversary, but we're going to talk about what I think is the good buys for Chilling Reign. I usually send a buy list out to a lot of people, and they usually listen to me, and somebody told me last night while we were talking, why don't you make an informative video, because sometimes I ask you all these questions, so why don't you just explain it in a video? And I said, hey, that's a really good idea. Now we can go through my thought process, and if you guys disagree with me or agree with me in the comments, let me know, obviously. So let's go into it. Here are my must-buy cards. When I say must-buy cards, disclaimer, you don't have to buy alt arts, you don't have to buy full arts, whatever. Just buy the lowest rarity of any card given to you because you need that to play. I like bling, so what I get, I play, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. But buy the lowest rarity card, buy whatever's cheapest. You are just trying to play the Pokemon trading card game. You don't need to look expensive like me. All right. The first one should be no surprise to anybody. Shadow Rider, Calyrex, VMAX. It is a 4/4 line, I believe. Mahone/Tricky or whatever you want to call him, has been portraying the deck in a very good light. The deck is its own support engine, all that stuff. Its ability, Door to the Underworld, lets you attach an energy, accelerate to a bench Pokemon, draw 2. Actually nuts, you just pretty much power up. Your energy is your support engine, and late game you can come in and sweep. I don't know how many energy I'll have on board probably, but late game you can do a lot of damage, potentially one-shot stuff. It pairs really well with Alchemy VMAX, which I think is an insane card. I've been talking about it since the post-rotation news dropped. Since I saw the Shadow Rider card, I thought Alchemy VMAX is going to be one of the best cards to pair it with post-rotation, maybe even pre-rotation. Tricky Jim has an excellent video up on it, so go check that out as well. Trevenor GX is one of the most obvious pairings that you can do with this card, because Trevenor and Dusknoir GX, you can money your opponent down to 4 cards, and then use Night Watch to put them at 2. They draw a card for turn. They're already in a very bad spot in terms of what they want to do. Then you can come in late game with this big horse boy and take some knockouts. You have Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX, which also can pair into this Trevenor combo. You can play all these other Psychic Attackers, Latios GX, Gengar Tag Team, like all these guys can kind of pair into the deck. You can even like slot in Aurora Energies. I don't know why you would, but you can if you want to. I don't know, man. It's your job, not mine. So you also have Cresselia for the early game to kind of power up your board, and you have Fog Crystal, which basically switches out every single basic you want in your deck. And yeah, it's just like an extra cherished ball for Psychic types, which is nuts. Like, that's cool. Mewtwo, have fun for the next like 5 days until you rotate. It's a literal horse. So here's its Pokedex entry because I thought it was very interesting. I chose Speculative because you don't really care about the big brain guy on the top. In Pokemon Sword, it probes its surroundings with all its senses save one. It doesn't use its sense of light. Spectria's kicks are said to separate soul from body. Now, TLDR, you get kicked by this horse, you go into the Shadow Realm. As it dashes through the night, Spectria absorbs the life force of sleeping creatures. It craves silence and solitude. It literally kills things by walking past it. Zero RV, I put the alt art because I think the card's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, whatever. You know the card exists. I think 2 to 3 copies are probably your best bet when purchasing cards like this because I feel like it's going to be more of a tech card than its own standalone card. It's very hard to make a standalone card like this work when the attack itself's secondary effect pivots off of like a condition. There's like a condition you need to use it, and the conditions are very difficult. Not difficult to pull off, but like more niche to pull off. 100 plus 160 is very strong, especially post-rotation. I think I mentioned that also in the slides. Because there's no bench barrier. Right now there's bench barrier, and there's better lightning type attackers like Pikarom, but you can pair it with Blaziken VMAX and make its own deck right now because Blaziken VMAX will accelerate the rapid strike energies to the board. Very strong, obviously. And then Rayquaza VMAX, the new Rayos kind of thing. You can do a lot of damage with Rayquaza VMAX. It's a guaranteed rapid strike attack, and then you can pivot into this 0 Aura V to just 160 something on the bench, kind of clean up a 1 prizer, maybe do this 2 times, clean up a 3 prizer, or like punch their attacker ahead of time, making so Rayquaza only has to discard 2 energies. Therefore, you're powering up 2 Rayquazas at the same time, maybe. I don't really know, but it seems really versatile in a deck like Rayquaza, especially. Like I said, post-rotation, no bench barrier, so it's very strong. And it literally had a movie, so he's an actor. Galarian Zapdos V. Galarian Zapdos V is probably one of the best cards in this set, especially because of you play 1 or 2 copies. If you have a 50-50 against Eternatus, maybe you just slot 1 in, but if your matchup is against like 30-70 or something like that, you can just slot in 2 copies. If you're playing Aurora Energy, Fighting Energy, whatever you want, it's what it's in there for. It literally just dumpsters Eternatus. You look at Eternatus and say, thanks for coming. You have a weakness card energy, thanks for coming, thanks for playing, bye-bye, see you never. The ability is what makes the card good, because Fighting Instinct says this Pokemon's attack costs 1 colorless less for each of your opponent's Pokemon V in play, and almost every deck has 1 to 2 Pokemon in V in play in the form of Crobat, and post-rotation that's going to be more, because, well, every deck plays V Pokemon at that point, because you're playing V or V Maxes, and then you can slot this guy in with Aurora Energy, or something, you know, I don't know, like, you have a Fighting Energy, and you can slot this guy in, and he has 170, and discards a Special Energy, so pretty good. He's a Roadrunner. I made this at 3 a.m. Please do not judge me. Galarian Moltres V. I didn't even realize I did that transition. What was I thinking? 2 to 3 copies are needed because you can't use more than 1 Dire Flame Wings ability a turn. But you can use 1 Dire Flame's ability a turn. So you don't want to prize 1. If you prize 2, you kind of boned. So in a deck like, that's why I think 2 copies are needed to buy. You could probably buy a 3rd. I don't know what deck you'd really want to play 3 in, but if you play 2, you play in an Eternatus almost certainly. Like, if you play 3 in Eternatus, it's not a bad thing, right? You just get an extra basic to do damage for Eternatus, which is the whole point of the deck. Eternatus VMAX, like I mentioned. Mew 3 Dark Box is a deck that uses red and blue with Weavile GX, Silvally GX, and this card can accelerate the energies as well, so you can move the energies around with Weavile. So very, very strong for a deck like that, but that's pre-rotation, so if you're looking for post-rotation, you don't really need to snag too many of these guys, but for pre-rotation, it doesn't really do anything. Post-rotation, it's very strong because you have Energy Switch in tandem with Umbreon GX, or Umbreon VMAX, sorry, my bad. And all these other dark-type attackers into your Eternatus Toolbox style deck. And expanded, it could also be potentially really good. I think Darkrai GX is just strictly better, but it could have some potential in the expanded format. Also, Aura Burn for 190 does mean you can kill a Crobat somewhere down the line. And it's just a very overall strong card. The grass weakness is also very nice because nothing is really good in grass. The 2 retreat is not great though. And it looks like Evital. Just does. What did I go from top? What did I do here? I thought it was going from left. Okay, Cresselia. Cresselia is just buy 4, man. Just buy 4. Like, this card's good. You don't know how many you're gonna play in a deck, but just buy 4. Just do it. It's literally Purple Volcanion with Crescent Glow. Search your deck for a Psychic Energy attached to one of your Pokemon. If you go second, if it's first turn, search for 3 and attach to one of your Pokemon. Basically, in like a deck like Mew 3 now, you can pair it with just straight Mew 3. You don't even have to play the Shadow Rider combo. You don't have to play any of that kit. You can just go straight Mew 3 with Cresselia and turn 2 accelerate the 3 energies. And now you can play your own version of like a Psychic Mewtwo. Like the slow Psychic Mewtwo that's been doing very popular. You can play it with that. And not have to use Jirachi GX's Star Search attack as your primary attack option on turn 1. Photon Laser is, see, Shadow Rider is also like the obvious combo. Mew 3 is also another combo. The attack for Photon Laser is really okay for cleanup, even with 5 energy in play though, so it is a little bit steeper, and I don't know why you'd ever have 2 energy on this guy unless he doesn't die. So 120 is not bad damage-wise, but it's not amazing. But What? Hello? Hello? Okay. We have the impact and the spiral energy. I guess I messed up something with transitions. They're the same thing for both sides. They're both really versatile, and the impact energies, in fact, they're both rainbow energies for either single strike or rapid strike. And yeah, that just it's giving both sides a rainbow energy, which is really nice. The impact energies effect is that it removes this poison, but there isn't really anything that's really strong with poison. For spiral energy, it's instantly good in the standard format because you can get rid of paralyze. And so on a rapid strike Pokemon, if they don't have crushing hammer, you can go like rapid strike or Shifu, attach the spiral energy, and now you're no longer paralyzed by tandem shock. But that being said, post rotation there isn't really much paralyze either, so I don't really know if it's going to be great post rotation. But I just pick up a 4-of copy of each because energies like this are usually very strong and very splashable, so no reason not to. And yeah, there's not, besides Crushing Hammer and the Rugged Helmet, there isn't really post-rotation disruption. I mean, there's Flannery and all these like niche supporters, but like they seem like very slow compared to just like playing Sycamore or playing Marnie every turn kind of deal. I don't know. It's okay. Just buy in. We got Sobble. We got Inteleon. Now, first off, look at these arts. Sobble's attack lets you get 3, I believe, Rapid Strike Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Really, really strong for literally just setting up your entire board on turn 2. Like, that's actually pretty nuts because you go like, if you go second, you go into Sobble, you grab like Remoraid, Rapid, or like another Sobble, Rapid, and now your entire board is set up. You're literally vibing. It's Drizzile in the middle line from the Sword and Shield set. Lets you search for any item cards. So Drizzile literally pretty much is your engine in this situation. Japan has already portrayed this in a light, but again, they don't have Jirachi, so keep that in mind. So without Jirachi, it's a little bit different for what they have in their format. But the engine itself is pretty strong, especially with the current standard format where you still have Mew. So you can go into Inteleon, and the Inteleon snipes, which is really, really also strong because once per turn you get to snipe 2 damage counters. And so in a deck like Rapid Strike or Shifu, where these like 10, 20 damage like increments mean a lot, it does go a long way. And other Rapid Strike toolboxes too. Like maybe you could slot this into Blaziken, Zeraora, and play like some sort of a like sniping mechanic. This also both synergizes really well with the Rapid Strike tower, so you get 3 retreats, and yeah, it's just a good card. Yeah, Rapid Strike synergy. Who cares about Drizzile? Not the one from this set. I'm sorry. I meant the Sword and Shield one. The Sword and Shield one's good. Sorry. Passimian is probably another must-buy. You probably only need 1 ever because you can only use 1 of the ability per turn, which gets you plus 30 on snipe bench damage. So Zeraora can now do 190, killing your Crobats. Rapid Strike Shifu can now do 150. Very good. Both those numbers are very nice numbers, very incrementally nice numbers. You buy 2 just in case. You might play 2 just in case. Yeah. There's no bench barrier post-rotation, so obviously bench snipes get much, much, much stronger. So Passimian can get slotted into like a Rayquaza VMAX deck, or Passimian can get slotted into like a Zeraora deck by itself. Telescopic Sight is also in the current standard format. And expand, we keep it. I think it's Vivid Voltage. So we do keep it. So plus 30 damage is plus 60. So Zeraora can now hit like 220, which knocks out like any Baby V Pokemon. And then you also have the Rapid Strike Shifu, which does 180, which sets up for numbers really perfectly. And with an Inteleon snipe for 2 damage counters, you can go to 200. Just a very strong overall card, very splashable in these Rapid Strike style decks that aim to hit the bench. Fog Crystal, right. This card is really good. So you buy 4, obviously you buy the 4. It searches for either a basic energy or a basic psychic Pokemon. Very, very strong. Obviously, immediately gets slotted into something like Shadow Rider because now early game you can find a Pokemon with it. Late game you just find an energy and that becomes your draw because you just go Fog Crystal into an energy. It's like a pseudo energy slot, but also it's a Pokemon search card. So it kind of fulfills both those roles really well. Doesn't mean you should skimp on either of those slots, but it just means that it fulfills those slots really well. Mew 3 is another really obvious deck where you can slot this in. Or you can play like a 1 or 2 of it, like Wilder Mewtwo, to find exactly what like GX Pokemon you want. It's just really, really insane because it's an item. Yeah. And then we have Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak, you just buy 4 of these instantly too. I just don't know why you wouldn't. It's just Power Plant on crack for all rule boxes. Really, really strong. Again, there's going to be Stadium Wars post-rotation. Pre-rotation, Stadium Wars kind of exist, but not in the same capacity. Because of Chaotic Swell. So Chaotic Swell and Marshadow kind of eliminate the current standard Stadium Wars, but Stadiums are still very strong because Fire-type decks use Hearth. lock type decks use Path to the Peak, so you could put Path to the Peak with something like I don't know, Ice Rider or I don't know, something where you really just want to lock things down. I was thinking Path to the Peak could go in Eternatus, but you actually just need Power Plant because Path to the Peak would shut your own Eternatus down, which is just bad. So don't do that. Don't do that, kids. It's a much stronger post rotation. Just yeah. Blissey. Now this card is one that people haven't really talked about too much. Where Blissey has the ability that lets you heal special conditions when you attach an energy. Just buy 4. I was making stupid jokes in between. The ability is meh, like I said. But the attack is 10 plus 30 times each energy card attached to this card. And when you attack, you accelerate 3 energy cards to this card. So you basically get to power it up with itself. Fighting is a tough matchup, but everything else seems fine. 4 retreat cost is a little bit thick, but you can play it in standard with like Porygon Z. I think that's my literally thing. There's a lot of meme potential. Yeah, that's literally what I thought. There's Porygon Z in the current standard format. You have Flaffy when that comes out in the next set. You have Frostmoth to accelerate energies as well. You have Melanie to accelerate energies as well. You have Welder to accelerate energies as well. There's so many ways to accelerate energies with recycle energies, with all these different special energies that all work with Blissey. You basically just accelerate a bunch of energies and can just one-shot something out of nowhere. Really funny deck. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I think it's just fun to buy these 4-ofs because there could potentially be something that really, really helps this card out down the line. So this is one of those cards that I think you buy for cheaper than MSRP because it could probably go down to about bulk rates, I think, and you buy it at that point. And that is a good piece of information for you guys to absorb. We have Melanie. Melanie is one of the more playable supporters for the score. It's a water type, water with balance. 1 water energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon. Very strong. Lake game energy from discard. It is easy using the water type deck, but Frostmoth is better. There are other cards that are just better, but it does act as a draw plus acceleration late game because you literally just need to draw into a Melanie, and it becomes an energy attachment for a deck like Lapras that you might need to have that 1 extra energy to go a little bit further because it gives you +3. So it's like a late game card. I don't think you'd ever play 4 of in a deck, but like 2 to 3 seems pretty good with an Eldegoss. So yeah, and she is kind of cute. Clara is another supporter that I think is pretty good. You always just buy 4 supporters, or I'll get to that point later in the video, but just buy 4 of every training supporter stadium in every set. There's no reason not to. It's really strong recovery support because you get 2 basic Pokemon and 2 basic energy to your hand, which means you can get back things like Crobat V, Dedenne right now in the standard format. The difference between this and Ordinary Rod is that Ordinary Rod is better overall because you can shuffle in, but this is just overall, I think, just a cuter option as a 1-of, because that means you can grab like Crobat, your attacker, attach an energy or something, and then Crobat for a bunch of cards. It goes straight to your hand, so Ordinary Rod putting it into the deck means you have to do it over 2 turns, or like maybe Ordinary Rod and then Quick Ball or something, which is just a 2-card combo, whereas it's just a 1-card answer to get exactly what you need into your hand. So Clara could be a very splashable card. Yeah. Then we have the Rugged Helmet. This is a card that I think a lot of people have not talked about too much because, yeah, he gets to 4. Inteleon VMAX, cards like that, where you have Disruption, Crushing Hammer, all these things that you just keep returning energies back to people's hand. Rugged Helmet is when this Pokemon is attacked into, you turn an energy on the Pokemon's active back to the opponent's hand. So you continue to like slow your opponent's game plan down. You're saying you're hitting into me, you might be doing X amount of damage, but now you're sacrificing an energy attachment and tempo onto your board. There is a lot less acceleration like Welder into the next format. We have like Melanie, we have Flaffy coming in, and we'll have Shadow Rider, but besides that, there isn't really that much. I just contradicted myself entirely. I'm so sorry. But it does help decks that play Crushing Hammer and want to rely on Disruption, which is like, this is a really cool tool to have for that kind of stuff. Yeah. Then we have the Echoing Horn, which is basically just Target Whistle. You'll never need 4, but get them anyway, right? You probably only ever play 1 in a deck. You can pull up a Crobat Dedenne right now. You can pull up another 1 prize attacker in the mid to late game to offset the prize rate, especially in a deck like Zeraora, where you're sniping for 160 and you want to guarantee a prize that turn. Yeah, it's just a really cool, cheeky 1-of, like, especially in a hidden deck list format when regionals come back or League Cups come back. Your opponent might not suspect that you have an Echoing Horn, so they, like, in your mind, you're playing out the entire game. You know the exact flow of the game. You know where the prize rate is going to lie. You know exactly where you're going to take your prizes, where they're going to take their prizes. But then if they mess up or something and discard a Pokemon they're not supposed to, because sometimes Sycamore, you're going to put like a Dedenne or Crobat in the discard because you don't want to put it on your bench and potentially let it get sniped. All of a sudden, Echoing Horn, boss, the game's over. Like, it could be as quick as that. It's probably going to be a 1-of because it's probably going to be a win more card, so I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Liepard V is another must-buy. I think it's a 1-of in Eternatus pretty easily. I would buy 2 just in case you want to play 2 because, again, Eternatus does not care about having extra bench Pokemon. It's just slots that are a little bit important to the deck. So you might as well play more bench Pokemon. Now, Liepard V does shred the tool on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Very strong. Deal with Luke Metal, all these like random tools. It's a Pokemon that does it rather than an item. Could be decent in the expanded format. I don't really know much about the expanded format with Eternatus and stuff in Dark Box, but could be good. Can be brought back with Clara and Ordinary Rod, so it's like recyclable once your bench gets kind of like pitched. And it can be slotted into other decks, but I think it's probably just going to be a primary Eternatus card. But it's a must-buy because I think it's going to be an instant slot into Eternatus, so you buy one of, at the very least. Just buy one. And if like you're like me and worry a little bit more and don't mind spending like an extra $1 or $1.50, buy another Liepard. Now, that should be all the... No, okay, never mind. There's one more must-buy. It's Mareep. All right, this guy right here, you got to get 4, right? You don't know why you're getting 4. You're like, what, Rahul, what the hell are we getting 4 Mareep? But have you read Flaffy? Have you read the new Flaffy in Rayquaza set? It's 70 HP versus 60 HP, which does make a discernible difference in some metagames, especially when there's sniping on the table. It is 2 retreat versus 1 retreat, which is a little bit disappointing, but that shouldn't really matter. Again, have you read Flaffy? And I will say it one more time, Flaffy. So you want to just grab your things right now for that. The Mareep are going to be cheap. They're going to be like penny stock. Just grab them. If you are bold, buy more, but it's a comment. Just buy your 4 and call it a day. Now, those are the must-buy cards. So this next segment is you might want to buy these cards. And why are you here? I'm going to talk about some stupid ideas that I have in my head. / like this might work, this might not work. Who knows? You don't have to buy these cards from here on out, but you might want to buy them, and I'll explain to you why I think you might want to buy them. Wow, I'm talking a lot. Abomasnow. Banette. Malamar, and Lycanroc. These guys right here. You want a 2-2 Abomasnow line, 2-2 Banette line, 4-4 Malamar line, and a 40-40 Lycanroc line. I'll explain why Lycanroc is insane. You need 40 of them. Well, let me get there. So, Abomasnow has the ability that lets all your single strike Pokemon have 50 more HP, which makes them a little bit tankier and more versatile in a one-prize exchange matchup. I don't think they stand into the VMAXs, unfortunately, still, but there could be a potential world where single strike gets that support. Now, Banette is also really strong for the damage it does and the typing it provides. Unfortunately, Houndoom does not accelerate the impact energy. Or not impact energy. Impact energy. Whichever the new rainbow energy is. I think it's impact energy. It doesn't accelerate that. It was put into the errata, which makes Banette a little bit weaker of a buy. I was going to say it's a must buy, and these 2 cards would have been a must buy if it does accelerate that rainbow energy as well, but it doesn't, which makes Houndoom strictly worse, unfortunately. 4-4 Malamar. There have been Japanese lists that are playing Malamar right now, just like a fun deck. It's a reveal. It's 40x reveal rapid strike cards in your hand. Shuffle them in, so you can play like a lot of Karina's Convictions, the Stadium, Octillery line. You just go nuts, basically. It's like a very funny one prize deck. And in this current standard format where we have bench barrier, it's still fine. In post rotation, probably not. Now, Lycanroc, however, it's beast. It's just 80 plus 10 for each Pokemon you discard. You accelerate to it with the Houndoom. It works out perfectly. You play 4-4 Houndoom, you play 4-4 with this guy. Plus 20 with the special energies. You don't really care about taking damage to yourself because you are a one prizer. You are probably assuming you are going to get one shot every single time. You can play the single strike Stadium, which lets you discard cards and single strike cards and draw more cards. So you just play like a very heavy single strike, like Pokemon oriented deck. Now 80 plus 10 is not a lot of damage, but across the course of a game, if you are playing a single strike deck that has a tech Lycanroc line, it can do a lot of damage. Now that's not a meme. I really do like Lycanroc. But if you don't play bees with me, you're fake, and that's not me. That's just the rules because bees is broken, and we play bees when we can. That's the rule of this channel. So welcome, subscribe. Blaziken VMAX. You want a 3-3 line, and now I put this in the potential category because yes, there's the obvious combination with Zeraora V, where you play the Blaziken into the Zeraora V deck, but I don't really know if this card is going to be good, and I really don't know if it's going to be able to stand alone compared to some of these big behemoths that do a lot of damage, but I don't want to discount it entirely. I think that you could play Blaziken, and it's going to be fine with Zeraora, and it's going to do a lot when it does do a lot, because rapid strike energy means you do 130, you get to accelerate, like it's good, it's good, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, right? But it feels super underwhelming to want to commit a certain amount of money to this card, and that's where I'm on the stance. I probably will end up buying the Blazikens if I can get it for cheap, because I assume this card will be pretty cheap after the hype dies down a little bit, so look for that when they're like a little bit lower on price than it normally would be, but it's not super high up there for me. It could be, like I said, it could be strong, but yeah. Galarian Articuno is another one that I would think I would buy like 2, just because I don't know how exactly this card is going to work. I think the ability is pretty strong, where you discard 2, draw 1. It does cycle, but I don't really know where it's going to slot into right now. But I think with the ability like that, it has play potential anywhere in the future, especially with Fog Crystal in the format, Like, it has a lot of play potential somewhere down the line. I just don't know where it's going to be. So I would just pick up 2. I presume this will be one of the cheaper options as well compared to, like, the Moltres and the Zapdos. So just snag it and see what happens is my philosophy with that card. Spiritomb. You only ever need 1. You only ever need 1. The attack is pretty unique and cool where you shuffle you do the damage counters and shuffle everything in. But why do you hate Mad Party? Why do you hate Mad Party? Who hurt you? Get some help. You don't need to play this card. It's not good. But if you really hate Mad Party, just have one in your wallet at all times. Ice Rider Calyrex is, again, one of the other poster childs of the set, along with Shadow Rider. But the reason this card I don't think is as amazing is I think it would still get a 50 line down the line. It's going to be one of the more expensive cards because it's one of the chase cards in the set. But when the hype dies down a little bit, I think the babies will be cheap. The big guys will probably be like settle around $8 to $10, which I would then buy them at that point. But you have Frostmoth and you have Melanie. But my like philosophy here is like other attackers are just better right now. Like Lapras is like pretty strong. This is a metal type weakness also, which is really bad because Zacian's really good. Lapras gets better when lightning types go out of the format. Like our lightnings gets worse, I guess, next format. So I feel like just like other water guys are just like a little bit better. Like, you know, just a little bit better than doing 10 plus, doing 250 like max basically. Like you're maxed at 250 with Ice Rider, which is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, like 250 is fine, but yeah. Also, but I mean, I guess Ice Rider is Cheryl, so maybe. Also, the text does read. You just have to discard 2 energies. I think I pull up the text right here. You may discard 2 energies in this Pokemon. If you do this, 1 turn for each energy discard this way. That doesn't specify water, so it could work with Flaffy. It could with other forms of acceleration, like Ice, Shadow Rider. Maybe, I don't know, man. But like, it's very underwhelming to me, and I feel like this is going to be one of those cards that does not really see that much play, but you could pick up just in case you want to make a deck work with it. Zarude. This guy is a buy 4 of because of grass. You have the Horde Song attack, which lets you get 1 grass Pokemon or 3 if you go second. So it's basically just a search. You could build like a grass toolbox that like the Cherim Maractus deck. Other kind of stuff. I don't know what else is really good in grass right now, but I feel like if grass ever gets something that's very strong, Zarude immediately becomes a good card. Like, as soon as grass gets something that seems playable or very strong, this card just becomes instantly playable, and that's where I stand with it. Also, I didn't know this was a real Pokemon. So, Greedent. Now, Greedent is a card that Frosty Caribou and Tricky Team both featured on their Pokemon preview cards. You want a 2/2 line because this does have a very unique ability where you don't take items effects to your hand, which means Pokemon, sorry. So Crushing Hammer, that kind of stuff, really does not affect your board now. So if you really don't like Crushing Hammer, you could play Greedent to kind of make that synergy going. But it is a stage 1, so it requires a little bit of setup, and I don't really favor that particularly. It's not amazing, but it's cute, and you can buy a 2/2 line in case your deck somehow works with it. Yeah. We actually don't get Zoroark in this set, so you can't make that kind of thing work. Now we got these 3 goons. The Guardy Gang is what I like to call them. You probably want to buy a 4-4-3-3 line. 4 Ralts, 4 Curlia, 3 Guardy, 3 Gallade. In case you ever decide to play this deck, you probably need all of that. Curlia has water duplicates, so it gets all the other Curlias in your deck, so you don't really need Ralts maybe. Actually, just play 0 Ralts. You don't need a single Ralts, actually. I changed my mind. No, you play Ralts and you have Fog Crystal to accelerate or find your cards. You have Arcana Shrine, which is you look at the top whatever cards, I don't remember the exact text, and then attached to one of your Pokemon, two energies or whatever, or if you find an energy there. It's a cool ability, but again, and Glade's attack is pretty cool. But again, they're on stage 2s, so the deck is just infinitely worse than playing something like Shadow Rider, which has big, beefy boys that do a lot of damage off the bat very quickly. But this is a cool idea, cool concept. It could be like a one-prize deck that if someone really puts the time into and breaks like Noel Totemoke did back in like 2017 era. He put a lot of time into the Guardy Glade deck back then, and it worked. So maybe someone takes the time to put the time into it and make it work. But I wouldn't buy these for more than like bulk prices. Like these are going to be bulk cards, but you want to pick them up if they're at bulk prices, because I think just having the 4-ofs means that you won't get caught off guard if this card ever becomes good and you have to go scrambling to your locals. But it is not Greninja, so really get over yourself. It doesn't have Shadow Stitching. It doesn't have any of those really cool attacks. It's just, it has water duplicates on Curlia. That's pretty much where it is. So if you think it's Greninja, it's not. Now, Ampharos. Ampharos is another one-off card that I think is really good to buy. It's not a must-buy, in my opinion, because you don't really need it. But it is a speculative buy. Again, we talked about the sheep, Flaffy, all that stuff, and the Mareep. 90 plus 90 if they have an energy in their hand when they reveal their hand. So you get a free information and you're against Decidueye. You get a free attack and a Decidueye. If it's like an easy cleanup late game also with like Rayquaza. When you get to that point, because 180 is a lot of damage. If they have an energy, obviously, but 90 is also pretty good. It's a 1 price swing on Crobat V because if they do have an energy, again, it's all like contingent on the energy. I think it's 50. It's first it's 50. Flip a coin if head's paralyzed, but it is all contingent on this thing. But the biggest thing is if you don't have an answer to Decidueye or Altaria or something like that, that in the next format could potentially just wall out these VMAX decks. You could play a 1-of copy of Ampharos to deal with that. It is like your 1 prize Electros, basically. And the one from the new set does not actually look very enticing because it's like a 4 energy cost. But this for 2 is much more easy to pull off. Easier to pull off. And actually could one-shot like these things, even with like Big Charm. Like you could actually go through Big Charm and one-shot, which is very nice to have that potential option. And have your Red Flaffy. Like I'm just bringing that back up again. Like have your Red Flaffy. And now, I'm not gonna like do all the fancy transitions for these because there's all the other miscellaneous items that are in the set. Agatha, Avery, Brawly, Caitlyn, the 2 gloves, the backpack card, Doctor, which is terrible, Dino Tree Hill. Like all these cards are like item cards. But my philosophy when I look at item cards is at any given time an item card can be good, even Doctor. So there's no reason not to buy 4 of them at bulk prices if you can, because eventually if a card does become good, it will spike for absolutely no reason. Or I guess the reason's there because it's good. So item cards are the ones that are most likely to fluctuate if they end up becoming good. But you can also buy all of these things at like bulk prices, and I just have 4 of just to have into your competitive binder, your competitive slot. So when you bring them to an event, and all of a sudden your homie goes, "Hey, I bought this like broken deck with the gloves, like the fire gloves. They're really really good. I really hope you have 3 fire gloves. You're not sitting there going, shit, I got to go to the vendor and find 4 fire gloves. And at that point, if you're going to the vendor and asking for 4 fire gloves, people are going to ask questions. And you don't want people asking questions. So here are the other miscellaneous items. And the energy, the luck energy, like all these cards could be potentially playable. They're not amazing off the bat, like I said. But they could be potentially playable in something somewhere. So just why not buy 4 of them, have them just in case when you travel to a regionals. Be prepared is my philosophy. For League Cups, you probably don't need them. But League Cups are also going to be impossible to find like bulk cards. Now, last but not least, Grookey. He's cute. Look at him. Just a beautiful card. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate the buy list, like people, whoever stayed till the end to watch my buy list video. I gave a lot of my reasoning behind it. I went through, took some time last night, a couple hours, put this together with what I would personally buy. This is what I'm going to personally be buying probably. I don't know where I'm going to be buying them yet. TCG Players usually where I buy them for cheap, but you can also look on Facebook, like Verbank, all these marketplaces, talk to some friends who are opening cards who don't really care about some of these cards, like that's usually you just ask around, kind of go from there. Don't pay the marked up like super expensive like pre-release prices. You can, again, we don't have IRL coming back yet, so give the market like about a month to like settle down as product gets flooded in. Like right now is the worst time because it's like pre-release prices, but give it like 2 weeks. Release time, maybe they get cheaper. They will get cheaper, but then give it a month after that when the product and the market settles. Like for Battle Styles, I bought all my cards about a month deep, and they were a lot cheaper than I thought they would be. But that, again, when events actually come back, it's going to be a lot more difficult to do because there probably is a new regionals or something where the set is going to be legal, especially for me when I go to international events. That's usually when they're legal for the first time, so I have to pay the markup prices, which I don't mind because I'm going to an international event. So that's my stance on these things. I'm going to continue to do these kinds of videos. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. It did take some time to put the PowerPoint and everything together, but I don't mind doing it. It was a lot of fun, and it helped me get my thoughts across much clearly to you guys, and hopefully you guys understood my reasoning behind some of these cards and how I approach buying these things. If you enjoyed the content, obviously subscribe, like the video. I would really appreciate it. We're going to be making a push on YouTube every day. There's going to be a video, so we're going to see what we can do off the back of that. And if you're here still, thanks. I really do appreciate you. I really, really appreciate you guys watching. And I think that's the end. I don't think there's anything else in this video, so have fun, enjoy your chilling rain, post polls, picks, everything. Enjoy, you guys. Happy Pokemon.